In this video, we are going to discuss about different types of radio formats or different types of radio programs. Do you remember the programs you have heard on radio? Try and recall some of them. You may have heard the names of radio stations from where the programs are broadcast. Many of you would remember Vivid Bharati, AAR FM Gold, Radio Mango, Club FM, Red FM, you remember all these names, right? There. So you may also remember the time being mentioned and what program you are going to listen to. So these are all called announcements. Okay. So announcements have been uh, made by people who are known as announcers. So the commercial radio channels may call them radio jockeys or anchors, but our AAR calls them announcers. So before you learn about different radio format, you must know the ingredients of a radio format. Okay, so what are the ingredients of a radio format? As you know, most of what is spoken on radio is written down. As you have already learned that what is written for radio is heard and is referred to as spoken word as against the written word. But the spoken words on radio is written down or what is generally called scripted. A radio format can be split into three parts. They are spoken word or human voice, music, and sound effects. So all radio formats have the above three ingredients. So what are they? Spoken word or human voice, then music, then the third one is sound effects. So let's first clarify the spoken word format. So spoken word, we will start with announcements. Okay. So I already told you what is an announcement, right? Yes. So what is an announcement? See, they are specifically written clear messages to inform. They can be of different types. For example, station program identification, like you can identify the station, you can identify the program. These mention the station you are turned into, the frequency, the time, and the program or the song you are going to listen to. As mentioned already, you find in today's commercial radio channels, these announcements have become informal and resemble ordinary conversation. So when I say, oh, okay, it's Club FM, tan kanakkin fun, what you feel it's like, very casual, conversation. But that is actually an announcement, right? Yes. So there can be more than one presenter in some programs like magazines. Magazines is basically like newsreel kind of a thing that we will discuss later. So the next genre or the next format is again spoken word format, that is radio talk. The radio talk probably is the oldest format on radio. There has been a tradition in India and Britain to invite experts or prominent persons to speak for about 15 to 20 minutes on a specific topics. So these talks have to be go through a process of being changed into radio spoken word style. Over the years, these long radio talks have become unpopular. Instead, today, shorter duration talks are broadcast. Of course, you can listen to these talks only on public service broadcasting stations. Right? So even if you listen to a commercial channel, you can listen to basically, obviously talks are there, small talks are there, but most of them are done by this film actors and celebrities and all, because they give importance to entertainment. But in the public broadcasting service, you can listen to these kinds of radio talks, especially experts, from a scientist or or from a you can listen to a scientist, or you can listen to a doctor, or you can listen to so people, and those who are eminent in their field. Okay, so next is radio interview. Have you ever interviewed anyone? Yeah, probably yes. Yes, for your manuscript magazine, or for your college magazine, or for your tabloid, you have done that, right? Yes. So in the media, be it the newspaper, magazine, radio, or television, journalists use this technique of asking questions to get information. So there can be different types of interviews in terms of their duration, content, and purpose. Firstly, there are full fledged interview programs. The duration of these may vary from 10 minutes to 30 minutes or even 16 minutes, depending upon the topic and the person being interviewed. Most of such interviews are personality based. You might have heard long interviews with well known people in the field of public life, literature, science, sports, films, etc. Secondly, there are interviews which are used in various radio programs like documentaries. So here the interviews are short, question specific, and not many. So the purpose is to get a very brief to the point answer. And thirdly, there are a lot of interviews or interview based programs in news and current affairs programs. So have you heard such interviews on radio? So with phone in programs becoming popular, you might have heard such live interviews with listeners. So these interviews have been made interactive. There is another type of interview based program. Okay, here generally just one or two questions are put across, or to ordinary people or people with knowledge on some current topic, to measure public opinion. For example, when the general budget or the railway budget is presented in the parliament, people representing radio go out and ask general public about their opinion. So their names and identity may not be asked. Such programs are called vox pop, which is the Latin phrase meaning voice of the people. And you have to be very inquisitive and hardworking to be a radio interviewer with good general awareness and communication skills. And next, radio discussions. So when you have a problem in your family and or with your friends, don't you say let's discuss? Yes, we do that, right? Yeah. So through our discussion, we can find out a solution to problems. In any discussion, there are more than two or three people, and then ideas can be pooled to come to some conclusion. So in radio, this technique is used to let people have different points of view on matters of public concern. So radio discussions are produced when there are social or economic issues which may be controversial. So, when different experts meet and discuss such issues, people understand various points of view. Generally, these discussions on radio are of longer duration, say 15 to 30 minutes. Two or three people who are known for their views and are and well informed senior person, or a journalist who acts as a moderator take part and discuss a particular topic for about 30 minutes. See, the moderator conducts the discussion, introduces the topic, and the participants ensures that everyone gets enough time to speak and all issues are discussed. So you would have seen this, television discussions and all, especially debates and all, people will be discussing about, there will be one, especially Srikandan Nair show and all, so there Srikandan Nair is the moderator, and there will be panelists will be there, and also general public will be there. So everybody will be talking about their opinion, like they will be sharing their opinion about a particular issue or something, especially controversial things they discuss in such kind of discussions. Okay. Next is radio documentary or features. Okay, all these things are come under, yes, the first ingredient, that is the spoken word. Okay, yeah, yes. So if you see a film in a movie hall, it is generally a feature film which is story based and not real. But there are also documentary films which are based on real people and issues. A lot of programs you see on television are educational and public service documentaries. Radio has this format. Unlike documentary films, radio documentaries have only sound. That is, the real people and their views and experience. So, radio documentaries are based on facts presented in an attractive manner or dramatically. So, radio documentaries are radios on creative format. The producer of a documentary needs to be very creative to use human voice, script, music, sound effects very effectively. So, radio documentaries are also called radio features. Next is a radio drama. A radio drama or a radio play is like any other play staged in a theater or a hall. The only difference is that while a stage play has actors, stage sets, curtains, properties, movement, and live action, a radio play has only three components. They are human voice, music, and sound effect. So, radio, of course, uses its greatest strength of producing radio plays, and that is the power of imagination and suggestivity. For example, if you want to have a scene in a radio play of North Indian marriage, you don't have all physical arrangements made. Next category under spoken word is running commentaries. If you can't go to see a football or cricket match in a stadium, you may watch it on television. But but for that, you have to be at home or some place where there is a television. But if you're traveling or outside, then you may listen to radio for running commentary of the match. A commentator would give you all the details of the match, such as the number of players, the score, position of the players in the field, etc. So, by listening to the running commentary, you get a feeling of being in the stadium and watching the match. The commentator needs good communication skills, good voice, and knowledge about what is going on. Running commentaries on radio can be on various sports events or on ceremonial occasions like the Republic Day parade or events like festivals, melas, Rath Yatras, swearing in ceremony of ministers, last journey of national leaders, etc. So today, radio running commentaries, especially of cricket and other sports, can be heard on your mobile phones, right? So now you have, like, you everything is in your mobile phone, so you don't have to actually switch on to a radio, a physical radio, and listen to it, but you have a radio on your mobile phone. Next is magazines program. Okay, magazine program is, you can also call it a news reel. Okay, magazine programs, you are familiar with magazines, which are a form of print media. They are published weekly, bi-weekly, fortnightly, and a monthly. Yes, so they are general magazines and magazines for specific readers. Yes, so you know what is a general magazine and you know what is a specific magazine or a specialized magazine. General magazine is something like, it's for the general people, but specialized magazine is something like, a business magazine or a sports magazine or a film magazine. You can call it a general magazine. So these are the two categories of magazines. So general magazines and specialized magazines. So these magazines could be for children, women, youth, or on health, sports, science, or music. So, if you open any one of these magazines, you will find articles, reviews, features, photo features, etc. So, radio also has magazine programs like those in print media. So, a radio magazine is broadcast at particular time on a particular day of a week or a month. So, that means it has periodicity. Similarly, it has plenty of variety in contents, like some or many formats of radio are included in a radio magazine. So these may be talks, discussions, interviews, reviews, music, etc. Likewise, the duration of each program or item in a magazine program also vary. Another characteristics of radio magazine is that it has a signature tune. A signature tune is an attractive piece of music which is specific to a program. So important terminology, a signature tune. Okay, it can be like a masthead or a magazine, masthead of a magazine. So masthead, they won't change. It's always the same. So when you see the masthead, you know that okay, it is India Today, it is the Week, it is the Economist. You know that. Okay, like that. When you listen to the signature tune, you can understand. Okay, this is this particular program. So a magazine program has a name and one or two presenters or anchors persons who link the whole program. So in the beginning, the titles of the day's program will be given by the presenters after the signature tone. So they also give continuity and link to the whole magazine. Magazine programs are generally broadcast for a specific or a special or a specific audience. As the name suggests, a specific audience refers to listeners with specific needs as mentioned in the beginning. Next is news. Among all spoken word formats on radio, news is the most popular. News bulletins and news programs are broadcast every hour by radio stations. In India, only All India Radio is allowed to broadcast news. So please note, in India, only All India Radio is allowed to broadcast news. Duration of news bulletin vary from 5 minutes to 30 minutes. So the longer news bulletins have interviews, features, reviews and comments from experts. See, next is again a radio program which is very popular program. So I don't know whether you have heard about this, is Man Ki Baat, connecting with masses. Okay, Man Ki Baat is an Indian radio program hosted by Prime Minister of India, in which he freely addresses the people. The program will be aired once a month and first episode was broadcast on October 3rd, 2014. Man Ki Baat is exclusive to AAR and will also be telecast on all channels of Doordarshan. Additionally, various private FM radio stations and community radio stations in the country are allowed to broadcast the show. So that is Man Ki Baat. So most of this is generally an interaction with the Prime Minister's conversation to the public. So next ingredient or the format is music. So when we say radio, the first thing that comes to our mind is music, right? So music is a mainstay in radio. So there is no radio without music. Music is used in different ways on radio. So there are programs of music and music is also used in different programs. So they include signature tunes, music used as effects in radio plays and features. And if you say India has a great heritage of music and radio in India reflects that. And let's understand the different types of music. Okay, so if you take like AAR, when you studied the history of AAR, you studied that mostly AAR broadcast classical music. So there are three types of classical music in India, and they are Hindustani classical, Carnatic classical, and Western classical. Okay, and there are also vocal and instrumental music forms. There are also light classic music forms like different light classical music forms and instrumental music forms like sitar, sarad, and then percussion, then wind like flutes, shenai. So you might have heard all these things on radio. So you may know of a large variety of devotional and folk music in your area and across the country, so which are broadcast on radio. But which is the most popular form of music? You would most probably say the film music, right? Yes. So while there are film songs in different languages, the one with national appeal and popularity is Hindi film songs. So on most radio stations, be it public service or commercial Hindi, be it public service or commercial, Hindi film songs are heard everywhere. Okay, next is Jingle, something related to, again, music. So it has been proved that musical message is often more memorable than spoken word. So, a jingle is a small song or music piece used for advertising, promotion, or similar activities. So, radio stations' promos are also produced as jingles or form of sound branding. So, that is basically jingle. So, you know what is a jingle. I don't have to explain it, right? Yes. So, here comes an example of jingle.
മഴയത്തും വെയിലത്തും പകലിൻ പൊന്നിറയത്തും രാവിൻ കളിമുറ്റത്തും കടലിൽ തിരപോൽ പിരിയാനിഴലായി സ്വീറ്റ് പാട്ടുകാരൻ ക്ലോസ് കൂട്ടുകാരൻ മഴയത്തും വെയിലത്തും പകലിൻ പൊന്നിറയത്തും രാവിൻ കളിമുറ്റത്തും കടലിൽ തിരപോൽ പിരിയാനിഴലായി സ്വീറ്റ് പാട്ടുകാരൻ ക്ലോസ് കൂട്ടുകാരൻ മാറും നാട്ടിൽ കൂട്ടായി മാറും പാട്ടുകാരൻ എന്നും നീളം കാതിൽ മൂളും കൂട്ടുകാരൻ FM 94.3
മിന്നുന്നൊരു പൊന്നും നിറമേഴും ചിറകാർന്ന പോലെ നെഞ്ചിൽ വിളയാടുന്നുവോ കാലം പല കാലം അതിലോലം പുതുവർണ്ണജാലം ഇന്നിങ്ങിനി ഒന്നാകുമോ എന്തേ നീ തേടുന്നുവോ നിന്നിൽ ഞാൻ കാണുന്നതോ എന്നും അഴിയാത്ത ബന്ധങ്ങളോ മനമാകെ ആകെ നിന്നിലാകവേ ശ്രീമാട്ടി പല വർണ്ണങ്ങളൊന്നാകവേ ശ്രീമാട്ടി ഇനി കാലം മാറ്റാത്തതാ ശ്രീമാട്ടി
Jayalakshmi Sarees, 50 years in silk.
Madhura Swapnangalegum Jayalakshmi Kinnaram Chollum Jayalakshmi
Celebrations in silk since 1947.
The next one is sound effects. So let's see how sound can be used in radio formats. 1. Sound can play a major role in evoking interest. 2. Sound can be used for comic effects to evoke laughter. 3. Sound can be used to create certain moods or enhance them. So if you listen to any radio program, you can see this, apart from this spoken word and, your music, you can see the other clapping sound, other sounds and all, you can call it a sound effects. So next, we will move on to the IT-based format, that is information technology-based formats, in radio. So the first one is phone-in programs. I don't have to explain it, right? It's very popular and, it's everywhere. Now in television, you can see a phone-in program, radio, you can see phone-in program. So it is kind of, an interactive program. So in this age of technological development, phone-in is the most important format. So this is called interactive programming, where the listener and the presenter talk to each other. So their talk goes on air instantly. The listener has the satisfaction that his voice is being listened to and replied immediately. Other listeners also listen to him. Such presentations need advanced publicity so that the listeners get ready to air their grievances, queries, or requests. They dial up and they dial up the announced telephone number at a stipulated time and get their problems discussed with the experts in the studio. Initially, this format was introduced for playing the listener's request based on film songs, but now it is being used for health related programs, rural broadcasts, complaints against the government, administrative machinery, etc. etc. Next is radio bridge. It sounds a little complicated, but it is very simple. Okay, radio bridge means connecting different stations through the length and breadth of the country. So, in this technique, for example, an expert sitting in Chennai can interact with a common man in the studio in Delhi. So, the format was first used by All India Radio during elections. So, it is very common. Radio bridge, if you take television, like if you see television discussions and all, you can see that, it is, they are all connected. One person will be sitting in Delhi and sharing his thoughts, and another person sitting in Trivandrum sharing his thoughts. So that is very common these days. So especially when it was introduced in radio, it was actually it was a big thing, but now it is very common. Okay. And the third thing is radio on internet. Okay, radio on internet, we have already studied about internet radio. So this is the same thing. Like you are presenting your radio on internet. Like radio on internet is a growing phenomenon with thousands of radio stations operating through computer modems. So it is altogether a new format that removes the restrictions of frequency or license. So you don't require, like especially if you are doing FM station or something, you have this frequency limitation, restrictions, and also. But in internet, you don't have such things. Okay, it is relatively cheap to set up, so it has certain advantages as well as disadvantages. Now, all the national and international radio stations like BBC, Voice of America, and All India Radio are available on internet. It's now possible to listen to the programs from a radio station while working on the computer. So you have now apps available, so you can just download the app and you can listen to the radio. Okay, so that is all about radio on internet. Okay, so that is all about different radio formats and information technology based formats. So we discussed the basic format, and it has three ingredients: spoken words, spoken word, music, and sound effect. Then you have the information technology based programs. You have like three things. That is, one is phone in program, second one is radio bridge, and the third one is radio on internet. Hope you got the idea, and thank you so much for listening. Thank you.